Starfield has officially entered into its second era with the release of Starfield 2.0. Bethesda has delivered the most ambitious overhaul the game has seen since launch, and for the first time ever, the universe is opening across PlayStation 5, Xbox, PC, and Nintendo. This is Colteastwood. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Today we're going to be talking about Starfield and what the future holds and when that release date will be on PlayStation 5. If you end up enjoying this video, let me know by liking and subscribing to the channel. Hit the bell to be notified of new content, and let's talk about Starfield 2.0. Starfield 2.0 brings sweeping improvements to exploration, ship combat, AI behavior, and performance. And planets will feel more alive, cities more populated, and the game will finally deliver a sense of scale and discovery that players imagined since day one. Whether you're docking at New Atlantis or drifting through an uncharted system, the world will feel sharper, faster, and more responsive. And Starfield's procedurally generated galaxy of over 1,000 planets means that the typical Bethesda organic exploration might return for a game that traded its simulation style that turned fans off in 2023. Starfield has been out about 2.5 years, and although many are not playing the game to this day, the hate and constant criticism has never tired. And fans and gaming media outlets, even former developers, are lamenting the stacked issues that make Starfield arguably one of the most disappointing games from Bethesda, and to many, one of the most disappointing games of the entire generation. I reviewed Starfield at launch in 2023 and scored it with an 85, on par with the critical global reviews. And the universally known 85 is mid to most people. In fact, some fans outright hate Starfield since it launched. And one of the many problems is that many fans look at Starfield from the lens of its launch problems. Don't get me wrong, it's probably the least buggy and most polished game in the entire repertoire, but that polish also comes with a game that lacked the soul and vibrancy that made Skyrim and Fallout so popular and some of my favorite games. Before we discuss the major changes coming to Starfield and the reveal and release date, we have to quickly go over why people think Starfield is such a letdown. Number one is the loading screens. Although brief, anywhere from 3 to 8 seconds, they are frequent. Starfield is compartmentalized, and that means if you go into a building or across an entire planet or over an entire galaxy, you'll do that through loading screens. Number two, fans almost universally think that Starfield is a boring game. For the most part, Starfield is very serious and grounded in its NASA punk style, and that simulation mechanic, landing on planets that are mostly empty, lends to a realism instead of leaning toward player exploration and more fun. The problem with this is that most Fallout and Elder Scrolls fans have been looking at these classic titles through rose-colored lenses. They remember having such an organic, amazing immersive experience in the sprawling RPGs, but they forgot that much of that time, 10 to 15 years ago, when they played, made up of a gameplay loop that Bethesda RPGs is walking, talking, speech checks, loading, walking, loading screens, fast travel, loading screens, fetch quests, minimal combat in between, especially when you're looking at the classics, Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas. In fact, the most quote-unquote hated Fallout game is Fallout 4, which, in my opinion, has the best organic pace, exploration, loot, and gameplay combat loop over most Bethesda games. So for Starfield, there are a ton of gripes with fans and anti-fans. For Starfield's mechanic loot system, combat, weapons limitations, space travel, some are even saying that the campaign and faction quests are fairly boring. But overall, the consensus is that Starfield is a good game, just not an amazing one. But Bethesda has been working quietly for almost 2 years to remedy the shortfalls of an ambitious game that is about to see its full release on PlayStation and possibly the Nintendo Switch 2. The biggest headline is the platform expansion. Starfield is arriving on PS5 and Nintendo's new hardware and makes a major shift in Bethesda's strategy. And for Xbox, for the first time, players across all major platforms can explore the settled systems of Starfield. There's no concrete evidence or leaks that expect Starfield to launch on the Nintendo Switch 2 in 2026. it's most likely that the port for Nintendo is taking a bit longer. Trusted insiders have revealed that Starfield is getting its full definitive launch on the PlayStation 5, Xbox, and PC, with an announcement in March and the release date in April of 2026. Cross progression, cloud saves, this means your journey follows you wherever you play, but it's not known yet if you'll be able to bring a save over from Xbox and PC over to the PlayStation 5. There are massive improvements and changes and long-awaited fan requests and an overhaul of the game engine that are going to surprise and shock anyone in the conversation when it comes to the final version of Starfield. But before we get into all of those details, this is all shipping with a second single-player game expansion called Terran Armada. The Terran Armada DLC pushes a narrative into bold new territory. This introduces a new militaristic faction called Terran Armada emerging from the shadows of Earth's forgotten history. Players will uncover lost archives, explore newly accessible ruins across the Sol system, and confront a growing threat that challenges the balance of power across the galaxy. The DLC will add new starships, new weapon systems, and a full fleet command mechanic that lets you lead multi-ship engagements for the first time. Space battles feel massive and cinematic, with coordinated squad maneuvers, capital ship encounters, and dynamic objectives that evolve mid-flight. It's the closest Starfield has ever come to delivering a true-scale sci-fi warfare. And on top of that, the Terran Armada DLC storyline is packed with moral choices, branching outcomes, and lore that finally digs deeper into humanity's past before Earth became a giant dust bowl. It ties together threads from the base game while setting up the next phase of Starfield's universe. The Shattered Space DLC was a massive disappointment, scoring a 52 out of 100 across media outlets, and I couldn't even bring myself to finish that content as it still felt uninspired. But Bethesda is truly listening to fans, and they are working on customization, characterization, and soul and punchy writing to make the Terran Armada DLC worth the time and the money. Now, let's talk about the Starfield 2.0 patch. Jez Corden of Windows Central explains the 2.0 patch is accompanied by a complete overhaul of Creation Engine 2.0, the engine that made Starfield look absolutely gorgeous and brought it into the new generation, but with also limitations of those compartmentalized interiors, planets, and locations locked behind loading screens. It's reported that Bethesda has partnered with Unreal Engine 5 to bring in aspects of that game engine into Creation Engine 2.0 to alleviate or sometimes remove altogether loading screens that have plagued the immersive jump from planet to planet. The Unreal Engine 5 integration will allow developers to mask loading screens behind transitions or to seamlessly meld the tile system of a planet with landing locations from deep outer space to a ship landing animation without stopping to show a loading screen. It's very likely you won't be able to organically fly into a planet or fly above the terrain, but you will be able to mark a landing spot, fly toward it in hyperspeed, and allow the game to organically shift you to your new location, all without looking at those loading screens. And Starfield 2.0 and the Terran Armada DLC is likely bringing a suite of new additions to shipbuilding and outposts. And Bethesda always builds upon their base game when they release new expanded content. I covered in previous videos a laundry list of adjustments that Starfield needs to make to bring their games in line with what fans expect, especially if they're fans of Fallout or Elder Scrolls. All of this has to do with loot, crafting, deconstruction, character building, and settlement ownership. But one thing they cannot fix is the tone and feel of Starfield as a whole. I have almost 800 hours into this game, and I've never liked the opening segment, and there are a couple of faction quests I never want to repeat again. As a fan of this game, I truly like it. It's very obvious why many gaming fans are not willing to give Starfield a chance, even if it launches on their preferred platform on Nintendo or PlayStation. And Starfield has a steep uphill climb when it comes to releasing on PlayStation 5, especially since it was a game that was supposed to launch on the console before Xbox took ownership. And with that comes a strong fan outcry and disassociation with a game that has been split amongst fans between being a great game and an absolutely trash one. The reality is that when Starfield releases on PlayStation 5 in April of 2026, It will finally be the definitive version that fans expected from the first reveals, with over 2 years of improvements, an added rover, better map system, a suite of approved and cultivated mods and creations, but most importantly, an overhaul of the engine that removes the pesky and annoying loading screens. This gives you a more immersive and approachable space RPG. I expect the reception and overall discussion of what Starfield truly is to change when it releases on all platforms in April 2026. This is Colteastwood. Thank you so much for checking out this video. I've been covering Starfield for a long time, and if you want to hear more about all of the fine details of everything, that laundry list of things that need to be fixed for Starfield, check out my videos I'll have linked here at the end of the description. I also worked with Red Wolf Renegade, a really great YouTuber, where we discussed back and forth everything that we want to see changed and some of the leaked items that are going to be put into the game, which we're really excited about. Yeah, I understand there's going to be people in the comment section who say it's mid, it's trash, it's a bad game, it was never good. I understand that. And I always think, well, I mean, most of the critics, people that reviewed the game, thought it was good or thought it was great. And I've really liked the game, but like I said, 800 hours, I definitely know what's wrong with it. I still enjoy the game, but there is so much that I'm hoping that Bethesda is doing to make this a better game. And for those people who are on PlayStation, who waited or were sitting on the fence, I really hope they're delivering the definitive version of the game that we've all been enjoying, and you can get it at an even better package. If you ended up enjoying this video, let me know by liking and subscribing to the channel. Hit the bell to be notified of new content. If you want to further support what we're doing here on the Colteastwood channel to keep the lights on and keep the production going, you can do that by hitting the join button below. That'll get you early access for videos and so much more. Also, check out the Ecstasy podcast, where we'll talk about all of the gaming news, everything as it leaks and develops, and we cover all of that on a long form podcast every Monday, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. And Middle-Aged Game Guy and I will talk about all that stuff together and get you involved in the chat as well, which is good. If you're a channel member, you'll be highlighted there. And that's a really great show that is also available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and other podcast platforms to listen to on demand while you're driving around. Let me know what you think about Starfield, if you're going to come back to it, or if you think you're finally going to give it its one final shot and pick it up on PlayStation or continue on PC and Xbox. Let me know in the comment section what you think about this. And as you do, as I always say, please be nice.